Hey there, my Facebook and YouTube friends. Today, I continued my reading of Orrin Woodward's best-selling book, Resolve, 13 Resolutions for Life. Today, I actually spent some time going through Chapter 8 of Resolve 2 times, and it's called Finance Resolve to Develop Financial Intelligence. You know, sometimes when I'm reading, what I'll do is I'll go back through a section or a chapter multiple times taking notes because my goal isn't to finish quickly. My outcome is to actually take what I learn and apply what I'm reading in my life and develop my personal power. I quote Orrin when he says in the book, "Without investing in personal development, a person is as good as he'll ever get." All we need to do to understand the need for financial intelligence is to look at the decline of savings in North America and the increase in debt that's spiraling out of control, not just in the governments around the world. We all love to criticize, right? But personal and business debt at the same time. We spend a majority of our early life learning from people who are in greater financial peril than our parents, and today, the average family is working harder for less and less money as the wealth of the world continues to transfer into the lives of fewer and fewer people who get richer and richer. I remember one time when I was at a seminar with Eric Worre when he was building Agile Enterprises in 2007, and Eric was recounting a story of the first time he had made $1 million in a year as a network marketer. He said, "Guess what I did the first time I made $1 million?" And I was sitting there and I remember I was thinking about it and he said, "I spent it," right? Eric had to learn like I did, the hard way. I laughed when Eric said that because I thought it was ludicrous. I couldn't imagine spending $1 million, but guess what I did the first time I made $1 million as well? I spent it. That was before I ever owned a company or anything, selling other people's stuff online. What I learned was that increase in income doesn't get rid of bad financial patterns. It just magnifies them. When people don't save making $2,000 a month, they're not going to save making $200,000 a month either. More money doesn't actually solve the problem. Orrin outlines 10 principles that will create wealth over time in his book. Number 1, accurately identify your net income. When I got on the internet, I remember some of my friends actually, the first time I heard people talking about, how they made $10 million online. What they really meant was they did $10 million in sales. When they subtract out the affiliate payouts, the refunds, the chargebacks, the merchant processing fees, other fees, service costs, technology costs, advertising costs, and other, usually the same person actually made around $1 million, sometimes actually even less, sometimes they even went in the hole. And then they spent that because they thought in their mind that they made $10 million. I just want to make sure that you know what your net income is because you can't live on what we call IFCOM, right? Now, this is the second principle that he covers in the book, and that's to document all expenses. Every dime that you spend needs to be named and tracked in order to control it and improve your spending and make sure that you're investing in the right things. Like I mentioned in a previous post, if you don't keep track of what your score is, you don't have any ability to improve it and you're fighting in the dark. Now, make a decision that you're going to track and organize your financials so that you can make decisions accurately. Tracking your financials needs to be done in real data, and it's just as important as tracking click-through rates and tracking capture page conversions online. One of the biggest mistakes that I made early in my business was not understanding good financial systems and accounting controls. Lack of tracking and accountability systems resulted in, for me personally, over $1.5 million stolen from operating expenses previous to 2014 when I put in place rigorous accounting controls and multiple checks and balances after that to make sure that we're operating completely sound in every part of our business, right? But I didn't know what I didn't know. Principle number 3, spend no more than 75% of your net income. This is gonna be difficult for some of you, but I want you to look at the balance sheet in your life and cut out the fat no matter how much you earn. Doesn't matter if you earn $5,000 a month, you're gonna be spending it all, make $50,000 a month if you're spending it all at 5, trust me. I didn't believe the person who told me that years ago either until I did. In fact, multiple people told me that. It's because I think they all did it wrong like I did. If you only spend 75% of your net income every 4 months, you're gonna have another month of savings. And you can do that right now by watching the way that you make and you spend your money. Number 4, this is principle number 4, never finance anything that depreciates. Orrin gives an example of financing a $30,000 motorcycle. After 5 years of paying for that motorcycle, you'll have paid nearly $60,000, double something that's reduced in value to only $20,000. And so it will have reduced a third, but you'll have paid double. Although I've never financed anything because my cars are paid for with cash, I've never honestly realized how stupid that was, honestly, okay, until I looked at that math. I got a D in geometry my senior year in high school, and I could look at that and I could still realize how foolish it is. I don't need to be good at math to see those numbers, right? We need to educate people in our network and our relationships and social media on making better financial decisions. I won't get into car leases right now because I don't want to step on anybody's toes, right? Number 5, this is principle number 5. Set a price limit on spontaneous purchases. Look, if you set rules for yourself in advance that prevent you from binging with your credit card, you're gonna make better decisions. You don't need to buy every single thing that you see. Set a limit, and if your spontaneous purchase crosses your threshold, just sleep on it till the next day. That alone is enough to stop most frivolous, out of control behavioral spending. Be wise with your money, and your money will multiply. If using a credit card increases your spending, what you want to do is you want to pay with cash whenever you can. Look at market research data on the average spending in shopping malls when people have credit cards versus cash, and be honest about your habits and your behaviors, right? Change starts with honesty. Most people, they'll spend a minimum of 20% more if they're using a magnetic plastic card than they will if they're parting with cash that's in their hand, because the ease of swiping disconnects you emotionally from parting with your hard-earned money. Be wise when you're investing your money. Number 7, this is principle number 7. You want to wipe out all consumer debt before you start to save. Now this one was interesting for me to read because it's not something I'd had framed in this quite this way, okay? What's actually happening to your money though, think about this for a second. If your savings account is growing at 1 or 2% a year and your debt has 10%, 20%, 30% interest like a lot of debts do, right? Well, what you're actually doing is you're losing anywhere from 8 to 19% of your money. That's what's happening, right? Now, there's a scripture I like in Proverbs 22:7 that says this. It says, "The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender." When you're borrowing money, it actually makes you a slave. People are always talking about equal freedom. They're always talking about celebrating freedom. We just celebrated Independence Day, right? I hear people ranting and raving, but they're spending 24% more than they're making every year, and they're a slave to the central banking system. They're a slave to taxes. They're a slave to lenders. Debt keeps people trapped in a vicious cycle of living for somebody else's dream. Look, you want to get debt free. You want to learn to multiply and prosper. Principle number 8. Learn the difference between investments and expenses. Look, you can invest in external assets that multiply existing wealth, and you can invest in yourself to multiply you and increase your own power to create wealth. Both are going to be valuable for you. Benjamin Franklin said it best. He said, "An investment in knowledge always pays the best interest." Investing in your education is putting money to improve your most valuable asset, which is actually you. Because your knowledge, your experience, your creative power, you have the ability to create unlimited assets, unlimited wealth, unlimited prosperity through free enterprise. Principle number 9. Focus on quality of life and peace of mind when you become wealthy. Look, I've met a lot of people who have a personal aversion to wealth and use God as a justification for poverty. And I don't believe we should be using God as a justification to not be rich, right? If anything, it's the opposite. 1 Timothy 6:10 says this. I want you to remember. It says, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil." Money is not evil, neither is having it. But an endless thirst and lust after money at the expense of human beings, at the expense of other people's lives without giving value, at the expense of your family, it distorts your mind and your heart, is not the meaning of life. A love of money and not the people you serve, right? Money is a form of energy exchange. It's an exchange for market value when you create properly, and it can bring a multiplication of you into the world, right? A better, healthier, more radiant creation, because money, it can buy you time. When I started making all my money online in 2009, I immediately moved to Costa Rica and I began pursuing my dreams and passions. That radically transformed who I was. It also allowed me to build my life from vision and get out of that endless, desperate pursuit of the dollar. Lack of need for money produces an inseparable detachment from it. And then you can love the right things, which is what? God and people, right? You don't want to love money, you want to love people, all right? That's going to produce an ethical flow of giving that multiplies in the marketplace, and it builds trust with the people that you love and you serve. This is principle number 10, the last one, right? That's when you become wealthy. Remember, you want to be a blessing to other human beings. When you go into the world realizing that you're a beautiful creation, a human being with a mission placed into your heart and mind from a divine source, and that you matter, you're going to realize something I discovered years ago, and that's this. All human beings are meant to be beautiful, right? The world's full of human beings that were created for a reason, and they are no more and no less important than you and the mission that's in your heart. You're designed, you're created and evolved to create the dreams that are inside your heart. So are your children. So is your spouse if you've got one, or your partner. So are your neighbors. If we can inspire the world and change it through changing ourselves, we're going to create a radiant transformation. It's going to lift up the lives of the beautiful souls around us and change the world into a better place. And I want to tell you something. You matter. I want you to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for watching this video, and visiting my page, visiting my channel on YouTube. Like my page, subscribe to my channel on YouTube, and pay attention as I'm coming out with this content, because I'm here to radically transform your life. And so go ahead, do that right now, and I'll see you in the next video.